Hey guys, Theater Girl 1018 here. This video is a couple of days late. I meant to film this the day before Valentine's Day and then put it up on Valentine's Day, or to film it on Valentine's Day and put it up on Valentine's Day, or to film it yesterday, put it up yesterday, but time got away from me, things happened. So here I am, 2 days after Valentine's Day, filming my Valentine's Day booktube. So today I am going to talk about my top 10 book couples as of February 2015.
So much I think it must be true love, it must be true love. Nothing else can break my heart like true love. No one else can break my heart like you.
Without further ado, here we go. So, for number 10, I've selected Lena and Alex from the Delirium series. I loved these two so much when I read Delirium back in the summer of 2013. And I remember how heartbroken spoiler alerts. From now on, in this video, if you see me hold up a book for a book couple, I now have spoilers for the entire series. So until I get rid of the book, mute it. When Alex died at the end of the first book, I remember how heartbroken I was, and I was just like so angry because I'm thinking this is a series mainly about love. Like, even the love story is part of the other story of the book that doesn't have to do with love, and you kill off half of the love story. Then in the third book, I fell in love with Lena and Alex even more. In the third book, when they had to learn to rekindle their love, and like he was scared and she was scared and they got angry, but then in the end they finally got back together and it was so beautiful. My favorite Lena and Alex moment probably would have to be from the third book when they got back together and she's like, "Do you really still love me?" And he's like, "Yes," and they kiss and it's gorgeous. Okay. Be warned, for the rest of this video, you're probably going to see a bunch of couples show up in a row that are all from the same series. But whatever. I have my favorite series, and that's how it's going to work. So, without further ado, number 9, Sam and Six from the Lorien Legacy series. Oh, man, these two were so cute. I remember shipping them in The Power of Six and The Rise of Nine, and basically everything, because it was so clear that Sam had a crush on Six, but she was always feeling the same way towards him, and then you saw the things where she was. Then in Fall of Five, they're about to kiss, but then Ella went into a coma, and all hell kind of broke loose after that. So, but the point is, they're just so perfect for each other, because she's scared, but she's kind of like this really tough exterior, and he's just kind of like this laid back, kind of nerdy, calm guy, but they both experience a lot of hardship in their life, loss, and I feel like their love, I don't even know, it's nothing entirely, like, special. I don't really know how to describe it, but they really just fit together so well because they're like, another trope, like, they're two people that you wouldn't expect to be in love. And you wouldn't expect them to be together because they're really different. But they are, and when they're together, it's so good. Favorite moment? When Six got back from the swamp, and she just ran to Sam and started kissing him, and a lot of good things happened in Revenge of Seven, and hopefully in The Fate of 10, we will see more between these two, because right now they're not together, but even though she's not really telling Sam about it, it's very obvious Six really does care about him. Speaking of couples from the same series in a row, number 8 is John and Sarah from the Lorien Legacy series. I have loved these two since the first book, and not a lot of people love these two, and not a lot of people like Sarah, because they think she's kind of just, she's a Mary Sue, but Sarah is my favorite character. I mean, other than Sam, they're kind of in a tie. I think she has a lot of great qualities. I love with Sam and Sarah how dedicated they are to each other, and how loyal they are to each other, and how in love they are. I mean, even when John thought Sarah had betrayed him, he was still, like, loving her. And What I really love about them is how they each help each other see a new aspect of a world. Sarah met John, and she helped him to see the life that he never saw. Like, he was in love with her and fell in love with her because he loved with her learning about what it was like to just live a normal teenager life in a small town, and just what to her was an average life, but he had never known that because he had been moving around with Henry. And then she, through him, got to see the Guard and see that there's this whole fantastical world out there, and like have a life of adventure and really learn about herself and how she can be tough. And together, what they each learned about each other, they helped blend it together to make a life that they can really like. And yay! My favorite moment has to be when, there's so many to choose from, but I think my favorite moment might be when John finds Sarah in the Mog base, and he finds her locked up, and they reunite, and he tells her that he's never gonna leave her. Number 7, Katniss and Peeta from the Hunger Games series. How can you not love Katniss and Peeta? Oh my god. I remember reading these books in 8th grade, and I loved Katniss and Peeta so much. God, and Peeta just helps Katniss to, like, calm down and trust others and trust herself and let herself love. And they've been through so much. I think my favorite storyline with these two has to be, or just, I mean, how they both want to save each other. They're both willing to die in the Hunger Games and tell Haymitch that they want to die and have him save the other one. And my favorite thing had to be that, when Peeta got hijacked, and then, but still, as they started to treat him, even though he wasn't really in love with Katniss, there were certain things he remembered and still had feelings toward her, and cared about her. And I remember how he didn't even remember his own favorite color, but he remembered hers. My favorite moment between Katniss and Peeta has to be when he's freaking out and having like a breakdown, and he thinks they have to get rid of him because he's hijacked, and he's freaking out, and she just kisses him. And suddenly he remembers everything, and he's just, all the feelings are back, and he's in love with her again. And I love it because there's no magic involved in this book, but we basically got a true love's kiss breaks the curse sort of thing. And I remember I was reading this when I was 13, reading it and like, just kiss him, Katniss, kiss him, true love's kiss. And lo and behold, that's what ended up working. So, voila. Again, back to the thing of the series repeating. Number 6, Finnick and Annie from the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins. I loved Finnick and Annie even more than Katniss and Peeta, and I really wish they had gotten more time in the books. Because, wow, these two, I mean, we don't hear a lot about them, but I think everybody can just feel the history behind them, even though, Suzanne Collins doesn't really tell us much of the history. We know that Annie went crazy, and Finnick is in love with her, and he helps to keep her calm. And even though he's considered a lover boy, Annie is the only one he ever loved, and I just find that really romantic. And, oh god, I think everybody who's read Hunger Games kind of just assumes that Finnick and Annie were always best friends growing up, even though it was never stated, and then they fell in love. That's how I see it, and I can feel it, and the love Finnick has for Annie is so unconditional and undying, and it's great. And I remember that's why I'm so heartbroken that Finnick died, because I don't think I can ever forgive Suzanne Collins for Finnick's death, because him and Annie really didn't, they had just gotten married, and then we find out that Annie was pregnant, and he has a kid that he didn't even know Annie was pregnant with, probably. My favorite moment for these two has to be when they reunite at the, in the middle of Mockingjay, and she just runs to him and he runs to her, and it was so gorgeous in the movie. Oh my god. Number 5 is Tris and Four from the Divergent series by Veronica Roth. Now, I love these two because they had a complete understanding for each other that no one else could get. They both left Abnegation to come to Dauntless and start a new life. They've almost broken up a couple of times, but they still, no matter what, they still love each other. And, you know, he comforts her when her parents die, and she comforts him because his father is abusive and his mother's kind of a bitch. And, they just become a family for each other that neither one of them really has anymore. I mean, technically both of them have living relatives, but it's not the best situation. And they become a family for each other, and only they are the only people in the world that can understand exactly what each other is going through. Favorite moment between Triss and Four? Oh, I know. Okay, it's the when in Insurgent, when they have Triss captured at Erudite and Four comes and to see her, and he's like sobbing and he's like, "You die, I die too." Oh God, I just realized Triss died, and he like died inside with that, "You die, I die too." Okay, oh God, moving on. Number 4 is Hazel and Augustus from The Fault in Our Stars. Oh, you probably knew this one was going to be on the list. I don't even know what words to say. Their love was so tragically beautiful, and again, like Triss and Four, a case of where not many people could really understand them, except each other. You know, they have cancer, and they've both been through it, and they both hate how it's romanticized, and like how people are like pitying them, and they just want to live their life and be a teenager. And I'm just gonna get all corny here, and the whole thing with "You Gave Me Forever" within the numbered days. I don't really know if I can say more for them than what John Green says himself in this the poetry. How poetically beautiful this book is. Makes everybody cry, and it's so moving, and it's just, the tragedy of it is what makes it so beautiful. I think my favorite moment might have to be when they have sex. Just in a way that it's like, it's not really something either one of them might get to experience. And for them, you know, it's not really something they think they would get to do, because Hazel can't really breathe that well, and Gus doesn't have a leg. And, but they just, despite it all, it's kind of just a show of how much they love each other. Maybe it's the funeral, the mock funeral, the first one. I don't know. I just can't pick. Number 3, Percy and Annabeth from the Heroes of Olympus series and the Percy Jackson series. God, they just do everything for each other, even when they're just best friends. Annabeth goes missing. Percy was like risking his life to save her in the Titan's Curse. No matter what, these two are always looking out for each other, always risking their own lives to stay together, to help each other. Annabeth was beside herself, not resting until she found Percy with the lost hero. When Percy lost his memory, all he could remember was the name Annabeth, and that he really cared about her. I mean, when they reunited at the beginning of Mark of Athena and they just ran to each other, House of Hades, how he literally fell and went into hell for her. And then in Blood of Olympus, finally, I think my favorite aspect of Percy and Annabeth is that they were destined to hate each other. She's a daughter of Athena. He's a son of Poseidon. They're destined to hate each other because their parents do, and yet they don't. They end up falling in love, and it's the most beautiful thing to me, the most beautiful concept, and that's really tied in my favorite Percy Smith moment in Blood of Olympus, when they are at the place where the feud began between Poseidon and Athena, and Percy, that is where Percy tells Annabeth that he loves her for the first time. And it's just so poetic, and I'm sorry. Okay, we're getting towards the end now with number 2, and number 2 is Willa and Philby from the Kingdom Keeper series by Ridley Pearson. It seems odd that I would place these two after Percival, and like, you know, you would think that there were other couples that their love is so poetically beautiful that I would put it after these two, but I just can't. I just adore this couple so much because they're just so cute together, and I didn't even realize I was shipping them until like the 4th book, when you're smart, you're funny, you're a Willa kind of pretty, and I found out that Philby actually liked her, and then I went and reread the rest of the books, and you see that their crush on each other is like throughout the other books. I love that, I love how Ridley Pearson wrote them, how natural it felt, because, you know, I was like, you're like this, most of the readers, I'm like the same age as the Keepers in like most of the books, and, well, they grow up, but like, it felt very natural, like what it feels like to have a crush on a friend and kind of know that they like you, but neither one of you is really saying anything. How awkward it gets, how scared they were to tell each other, how they got mad at each other sometimes. But in the end, they were still, like, they were such close friends. They really cared about each other like all the keepers did. And then in the end, they're finally together. And they really do love each other, because that brings me to my favorite Wilby moment. It's something from the 7th book. Either when Willa tells Sylvie she loves him and that gives him the strength to get through the wall and not die, or when they're at Toontown where Willa almost died and Philby's like, can I mention did I mention I'm insensitive? Oh, and I'll protect you. And you really just, whether they're actually together or not, that's my favorite thing about these two, I think, is that most of the books, they weren't actually together, and yet you feel their love, and you feel how much they care about each other, and you still, like, love them as much as you love Perceval. They're both kind of maybe feeling isolated from the rest of the team because they're both really smart, and they're brainiacs. And, you know, the rest of the people of the Keepers aren't like that. Maybe they got made fun of in school, whatever, but they're like each other, and they're both the brains of the team, and they can work together, solve puzzles, understand each other. Voila. And finally, the moment you've been waiting for, my #1 book couple of without fail of all time is Ron and Hermione from the Harry Potter series. Yeah! Ron and Hermione were always just the best because they teased each other and they didn't like each other throughout the whole series. Even before they got together, no matter how much they teased each other, no matter how much they fought, they still cared about each other. It was another case of Percy and Annabeth where whenever the other one was in danger, they were always right up front trying to save them. And their friendship blossomed into so much more, and the love was always there, and whether it was like a best friend love, but you could see how much they cared about each other. And finally, I think what's so beautiful about them, you know, you can't describe Hermione, why you love Hermione, other than the fact that it's Hermione and Ron and Hermione. And I think what's so beautiful about when they actually get together is that, you know, the house elves were always the thing that was in the 5th book was so important to Hermione was spew and helping the house elves. And Ron always found it stupid and made fun of her for it, but then, lo and behold, in the Battle of Hogwarts, when everything is going on, you know what he thinks of? He thinks of the house elves because he knows that they matter to Hermione. And that's when they get together and kiss, and that's my favorite moment, because, oi, there's a war going on here, and Ron and Hermione. Yay! So that is it for my top 10 favorite book couples. Let me know in the comments what your favorite book couples are. I hope you all had a great Valentine's Day. I hung out with my best friend, drank red velvet hot chocolate, and watched The Fault in Our Stars. So, you know, that's good. I am also wearing my Reader's Gonna Read sweatshirt from Poland Bananas Books. Yeah. Love her. Love her shirts. What? And that's all. So, yeah, remember to like and if you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe. And that's all. Bye! Okay, wow, I don't know what to say. I was gonna say something. But my favorite moment might have to be... Oh, God. #2. Oh, wrong. Wrong. Got a lot of bloopers for the blooper reel today. Here is Anna, the pop figurine. You just go back there. Right then.